Hi, this is Daniel Hutchins, and today we're going to be talking about an article from our friend Screen Rant. So today from Screen Rant, we're going to be talking about unannounced Marvel movies teased from the Falcon Winter Soldier showrunners. So this was an article 17 hours ago. So the Falcon Winter Soldier showrunner Malcolm Spellman teases multiple unannounced MCU movies are already in development at Marvel. We're going to find out what they are. Okay, so the Falcon Winter Soldier showrunner Malcolm Spellman teases there are multiple unannounced Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Now that Marvel Studios' second Disney Plus show has reached its conclusion, the MCU fandom currently has its sights set on what will come next. There are 8 movies with confirmed release dates through 2022 and multiple other films and Disney Plus shows in development for years to come. Now, the Falcon Winter Soldier set up multiple MCU projects too, but as fans believe they have a general idea of what will happen next. Okay, so even though Phase 4 is already underway, MCU has yet to release a single movie of Spider-Man Far From Home served from an epilogue of the Infinity Saga in 2019. There is great anticipations for the 2021 titles for Black Widow, Spider-Man No Way Home to hit theaters this year, but meanwhile, interest from the MCU's 2022 movies such as Thor, Love and Thunder, Black Panther 2, or growing, despite Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige confirming that Blade, Fantastic Four, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and others are in the works too. It appears there are several other movies secretly in the works. Okay, so related to this is all 14 Marvel movies releasing after Falcon Winter Soldier, which I'll probably do that in another video. But okay, so following the Falcon Winter Soldier finale, Spellman spoke to Murphy's Multiverse about the show and the MCU. From this point, during the interview, Spellman mentioned that fans don't really have a clear idea of what Marvel is going to be planning. But he teases that there are multiple unannounced Marvel movies that will reshape expectations of what may be coming next for the MCU. Read what Spellman said below. So he said, I was surprised about how few of the upcoming Marvel movies have been announced. But yet fans will start to become more and more clear as these projects get announced. Spellman teasing multiple unannounced Marvel movies comes from the heels of reports that he's developing Captain America 4 for Marvel Studios. He hasn't confirmed that these reports were true though, and even Anthony Mackie says he hasn't heard anything yet, since this is potentially just another example of Marvel secrecy at work. Now, the news of Captain America 4 was a friendly reminder of how far ahead Marvel always planned. They have enough movies in development to last beyond 2023, and that doesn't even take into account the unannounced films Spellman's teasing here. So as for projects Marvel Studios might secretly be working on, it's up for speculation at this moment that there's long been interest in a Thunderbolts movie, and Spellman might be privy to knowledge of the development based on Baron Zemo's appearance from the Falcon Winter Soldier. Meanwhile, long other rumored movies like Nova or Young Avengers and eventual X-Men projects are just a few examples of other movies Marvel might be working on in a secret. With the 2022 movie slate set to be completely in production by the middle of this year, it likely won't be long before Marvel Studios confirms what else they are working on. And then the next article that comes place after this article was what Captain America 4 needs to learn from Falcon Winter Soldier. We're going to probably do that in another video. So again, like I said, first we are going to do those bonuses like I promised. Actually, just for the hell of it, let's just read these articles instead of doing a separate video. Now, I said that, even though I said I was going to do it in a separate video, I don't see why not. We just mention them now. Because I know you guys are itching to the bit about all the new Marvel Cinematic Universe information. So let's just tackle these out once and for all, so then you guys can have a clear understanding of what's actually going on with the comic book universe. And you guys can thank me later in the comment box. Okay, so all 14 Marvel movies releasing after Falcon Winter Soldier. Okay, so Marvel Studios has 14 upcoming MCU movies. releasing in theaters after The Falcon Winter Soldier. Many of these which will be out before 2023. In addition to many upcoming Marvel TV shows on the horizon, Marvel Studios has 14 upcoming MCU movies after Falcon Winter Soldier. As well, after the Avengers Endgame, it was unclear where exactly this franchise would go next, though everyone knew the following stories would require some time to deal with the fallouts of Endgame's events, including the fact that the return of half of all life in the universe, much of that has been the focus on Disney Plus series such as WandaVision or The Falcon Winter Soldier. So the next MCU series to release will be Loki, which will also build upon Endgame's story, particularly following a version of Loki who disappeared after the Battle of New York. But on this film side, there will be a different continuation, and a different story to focus on. The first movie coming out in Phase 4 is Black Widow, which was originally supposed to hit theaters in May 2020, before being delayed numerous times from, you guessed it, coronavirus. After that, viewers will get to see new heroes join the big screen, again with Shang-Chi and Eternals joining the fold. Then fans will have some familiar faces again from the theaters. Related to this article is biggest questions after Falcon Winter Soldier's finale. Now we're not talking about that, we're just going to keep going. With 4 movies releasing in 2021 and 5 movies in 2022, the MCU was looking packed. All of next year's films will focus on sequels, a first for the franchise since Phase 1, Doctor Strange, Thor, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Ant-Man are all getting their own sequels to their previous standalone stories, beginning with Stephen Strange and ending with Scott Lang. However, there's more on the way too, and those films make the MCU's future very, very exciting. So first up, we have Black Widow, which is July 9th of 2021. Originally meant to launch the MCU Phase 4 last year, Black Widow was hit with delay after delay after delay due to the coronavirus. And while theaters were opening in droves across the United States and the world, there's still risk in putting this prequel story out in theaters only. So, Disney was opted for a hybrid release, which they debuted Disney Plus with a $30 premiere access fee. So, Black Widow is directed by Kate Sherwin and stars Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, aka we know as Black Widow, who at this point in the MCU timeline is on the run from the US government. Black Widow takes place between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. It sees her return to Russia to reunite with her family and face off against Taskmaster, whose identity still remains the mystery. So then, some other co-stars are in it as well, and Black Widow is going to reprise her role in Disney Plus Hawkeye series. Alongside her is David Harbour and Alexei Sokolov, aka the Red Guardian, Russia's version of Captain America. Rachel Weisz as Melina Vostokova, another Black Widow, and other characters will probably show up as well. It is rumored to also have some returning cameos with Robert Downey Jr., we know as Iron Man or Tony Stark. But that has yet to be seen. Related to this article is Black Widow's white costume and its comic history explained. Now that is going to be probably in the future, but right now we're focusing on some of this movie information, since you guys really want to know the movie information. So Shang-Chi and the Legend 10 Rings, September 3rd, 2021. Now this is coming out right before my birthday, so right before I turn 24. So it's been a long and arduous journey getting Shang-Chi and Legend 10 Rings made. Various studios, writers, and directors have tried in hand adapting martial arts characters onto screens, but it wasn't until recently that it finally went underway. So then, Simu Liu as the titular Shang-Chi. The film introduces one of the best fighters from the Marvel Comics, while also bringing back one of the first villain organizations, the MCU 10 Rings, which they appeared in Iron Man 3, but instead of having a fictitious leader at the forefront, they actually have the real Mandarin, also named Wenwu. So there's actually a whole lot of history about Shang-Chi. I don't want to really go into too many details. Next, we're going into Eternals, November 5th, 2021. Most upcoming Marvel movies, include ones on new heroes, are familiar enough to fit into Marvel formulas. But The Eternals is one of those films that could break this mold. It's not just fantastic, but it's filled with its own super team that could easily rival the Avengers, if not overpower them entirely. Seeing this team's origin as well, they've been thousands of years. The Eternals are the immortal alien race, after all. It's what makes Eternals one of the most exciting superhero movies from this horizon. Plus, it's directed by Chloe Zhao, who made a major name for herself in directing an Oscar-nominated film Nomadland in 2020. So, to cap off this film's intrigue, Eternals has one of the most star-studded casts in any MCU film. It stars Angelina Jolie and some others who play other heroes as well. So then, Eternals is the natural first step into exploring the side of the MCU a bit more, following in the footsteps as Guardians of the Galaxy from Phase 2. Okay, so related to this article is Marvel's Eternals powers explain which each team member can do. Well, that I don't know if I'm going to be talking about that, but I'm going to be doing some other stuff, so. Spider-Man No Way Home, December 17th, 2021. The third film in the new Spider-Man trilogy starring Tom Holland, Spider-Man No Way Home, ties together the previous web-swinger movies, shaping into be live actions of the Spider-Verse. Holland's Peter Parker will become the face with villains like Dr. Octopus and Elektra. Reports suggesting that Peter Parkers of these universes, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, will return, as well alongside several other characters. This will be thanks to the burgeoning multiverse Marvel is exploring from Phase 4. Okay, so then, this will also directly tie into Doctor Strange 2, considering that Doctor Strange is supposed to appear in a movie in some capacity. Now, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, March 25th, 2022. Funnily enough, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is being directed by Sam Raimi, who helmed the original Spider-Man trilogy for Sony Pictures. Not only that, he's getting a second go-around at directing Marvel property. He's also shaping what the story is building off another Spider-Man film, No Way Home. The gap between these MCU 2 Doctor Strange movies is one of the biggest from the franchise thus far, with the sequel coming 6 years after this first installment. When in that time, Doctor Strange himself has been instrumental in this shared universe, helping push the Avengers down on the path they needed to ultimately defeat Thanos and save the universe. Now he's finally getting a standalone sequel of his own, though exactly what this story will entail is currently unknown. So it's supposed to also be Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, who she's going to come back, and also the Doctor Strange's assistant, Wong, is also going to be in as well. So related is Marvel characters Doctor Strange 2's multiverse can bring back. That again is probably going to be another future video, but I'm not going to be talking about that right now. Thor Love and Thunder, May 6, 2022. Thor Ragnarok remarkably reinvented Thor in the MCU, and his new characterization as well. So Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, so it wasn't surprising to see Marvel greenlight the fourth film, Love and Thunder. Taika Waititi returns to write and direct the sequel, which also brings back Natalie Portman, Jane Foster, who is to pick up Mjolnir and become Mighty Thor. In comics, Jane Foster eventually becomes a version of Thor, which from concept, Marvel is looking to dive into. Though it's unclear how far this will go, if Jane will replace Thor, or merely be a one-off character as Mighty Thor. But she's not the only person coming back in Thor Love and Thunder. Tessa Thompson, Jeff Goldblum, and Waititi are reprising their roles from Ragnarok, as well as some other characters, the long-awaited return of the MCU Sith. Furthermore, the Guardians of the Galaxy will also join Thor and building off their ending from Endgame. As for a villain, it will be Gore the God Butcher by Christian Bale. whose entire purpose was in the story itself, which was to quite literally kill gods like Thor. As if being in Ragnarok sequel wasn't exciting enough, Thor Love and Thunder has so much going for it in terms of this character development. Star power, universe expansion, which is why it was given a prime May release slot. Next is Black Panther 2, which comes out on July 8th of 2022. Easily one of the biggest blockbusters coming for 2022 is Black Panther 2. This first film from Ryan Coogler broke all kinds of records back in 2018. Now the fans are eager to see what's happening in Wakanda after events of Avengers Endgame. Sadly though, Chadwick Boseman passed away in 2020, therefore won't be appearing in this film since production hadn't begun yet. The good thing is, Marvel had affirmed that they won't recast the role of T'Challa for the sequel, but since Black Panther's in the mantle can be passed on to or worn by another person, someone else may become the next Black Panther, which could even be his sister. Okay, next on the list is Captain Marvel 2, November 11th of 2022. There was never any doubt that Marvel developing Captain Marvel 2. Now this question is, Captain Marvel movie prequel did take place in the 90s despite being the last film to hit theaters after Endgame. This time the sequel will be set in present day, include much more powerful Captain Marvel, someone who's fought numerous villains, gone toe-to-toe with Thanos, but she won't be alone. She'll be joined by two new heroes who've been given a spotlight on TV. We have Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, and we also have Tiana Paris, we know as Monica Rambeau. She will be joining as well. Okay, so next is Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania 2022. Probably because of this pandemic, 2022 will mark the first time that 5 MCU movies will release in 1 year. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, a movie titled delivers on a silly joke of people putting quantum in everything. The last confirmed movie to release next year, and it will bring back Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly as the eponymous characters, Ant-Man and Wasp, respectively. They will be joined by original Ant-Man and Wasp characters as well, played by Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. Other cast members include other people like Catherine Newton as Cassie Long, along its role has been recast, and Jonathan Majors as King the Conqueror. Okay, so the previous 2 Ant-Man movies focus on relatively small-time villains, but this time the third film is going to be significantly bigger. King the Conqueror is an iconic villain in Marvel Comics, someone who time travels from 31st century to ancient Egypt to present day and back to the future again, but all to conquer the planet. He has connections to the Fantastic Four and Avengers, but since the quantum realm was first explored in Ant-Man series, it makes sense for the next installment to be bringing him into the MCU. Whatever happens in this film, it could be a springboard. Marvel needs to tell their Phase 5 story. Next on the list is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is supposed to be in 2023. Another movie which is expected to release 6 years after the previous installment is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Originally the plan was to release the film in 2020, but the behind-the-scenes shakeup resulted in the sequel being delayed a few years. So we already figured about all that. So then, also Disney Plus is also going to be doing a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Right around the time Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will come out. But yet it still has to be confirmed when filming begins. Next, we have Blade. Now, there's no date for him yet, but he, of course, is in the MCU too. Again, this film is currently being written with plans to begin filming at the end of 2021. That means he could be the start of Phase 5, which marks the end of Phase 4. Next, we got the Fantastic Four. Now, 20th Century Fox made 2 attempts at launching Fantastic Four, and they unfortunately fell by the wayside. Despite this fact, the first attempt did produce a sequel, but the other version really just sucked. So now, after that, we have Deadpool 3. Unlike with Fantastic Four, Marvel Studios isn't rebooting Deadpool right now, but a small decision considering he's perhaps the most popular media character after Wolverine. Deadpool and Deadpool 2 performed remarkably well at worldwide box office. That's success that's from itself. So we already kind of know he's going to be returning with a rated R movie for the MCU. So then Captain America 4. No announced date yet, but this was announced just last week that after Falcon Winter Soldier ended, they wanted to do a Captain America 4. So, okay, so we know it's going to be with Sam Wilson reprising as Captain America. But no story has been written yet. So there you go, guys. That is all some information about all 14 Marvel movies releasing after the Falcon and Winter Soldier. And now I said that there was another bonus I wanted to read. I had to find it. I'm trying to remember. If you guys remember, please drop it down in the comments. But I'm trying to find it. Oh, okay, here it is. What Captain America 4 needs to learn from after Falcon Winter Soldier. Falcon Winter Soldier showrunner Markham Spellman is writing Captain America 4. What lessons can be learned from his Marvel series? Now, it's now working on Captain America 4 with Marvel Studios, and here are the lessons he needs to learn from Disney+. Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe looks and feels very different to what has ever been gone before. For one thing, the modern MCU is a transmedia initiative where stories move from big screen to small screen and back again. So then, also on top of that, fans now know that the case with Sam Wilson's Captain America, Sam was given the shield in the final scene of Avengers Endgame. But even then, he told Steve Rogers he felt like there's someone else. Falcon Winter Soldier was essentially the story of how Sam came to accept his new identity, while acknowledging the complexity of Captain America's legacy. Malcolm Spellman, head writer and showrunner of Falcon Winter Soldier, now confirmed they'd be working on a script for Captain America 4. With a staff writer who also attached to the show, it's safe to assume there'll be a straight narrative, through line, and character arcs, although it's worth remembering specific plots as well, as Sharon Carter's Power Broker could well be picked up in a number of Marvel properties as well. Related to this article is Falcon and Winter Soldier ending explained and MCU future setup. Now we just already talked about that, so we're not going to be talking about that. We already talked about that already. So Falcon Winter Soldier became the most popular series in the world. But that doesn't mean it was perfect, but Spellman would do well to reflect both on what worked and what didn't in order to ensure Captain America 4 is a worthy successor to the legacy of Captain America that was before him, which has been some of the best in Marvel history. Focused on the dynamics between Sam and Bucky. Now it's safe to assume Captain America 4 would focus on Sam Wilson, who officially succeeded Steve Rogers as the next Captain America, but it should also feature Sebastian Stan's Bucky Barnes. Mac and Stan are both tremendous actors, and Falcon Winter Soldier was at its best when it allowed the two to play together. Sam and Bucky were initially only associates because they had a friend in common, which, before Steve's absence, they bonded and became friends in and of themselves. This friendship really needs to continue, from the big screen too. Meanwhile, there would be a smart thematic inversion in seeing Sam headline the franchise, with Bucky serving as the backup. Phase 1 of the MCU was critiqued for frequently having white main heroes, with black sidekicks, Iron Man and War Machine, Captain America and Falcon, so this would turn this idea on its head. Ground Captain America 4 and Sam Wilson's personal world. Well, no doubt about that, we're going to have that. So the best Marvel superhero stories are grounded in these characters' worlds. Now, classic Spider-Man tales are as much about Peter Parker's love life, but we're not talking about that. And then Tony Stark's battle with alcoholism also kind of takes into a story of himself, but we're also not talking about it. But to keep up his business afloat as much a part of the story, Falcon Winter Soldier suggests that Spellman understands that truth on the almost instinctive level because he spent so much time developing Sam Wilson's personal world that viewers had to meet members of Sam's family to learn their history and enjoy watching Sam interact with his nephews. Even more amusing, though, Bucky soon found himself drawn into Sam's world as well, and seemed to quite enjoy flirting to his sister. Enough on that, though. But okay, so Captain America 4 needs to be grounded in Sam's personal life. Continue to develop the new Captain America as a three-dimensional person who exists in a specific cultural context. This is necessary to ensure viewers that a strong wishes with Sam that they appreciate him as a character rather than a shield-swinging Avenger. It will also help distinguish Sam from his predecessor, Steve Rogers, which was a man who was forced to give up his personal world to become Captain America. He sacrificed himself in First Avenger, found a new context broken with S.H.I.E.L.D., had to bring him down, and ultimately tore apart the Avengers because they refused to compromise, and Sam should feel the same tension. But the pull between being Captain America and being Sam Wilson, but he should contrast with Steve in what he attempts to find a balance. It's all about balance. So that would give us Captain America's story like nothing we've ever seen before. Related to this article is Falcon and Soldier Easter eggs. But we're not talking about that, we're talking about someone else. So tying up the writing and the themes. Falcon and Soldier may haven't been enjoyable, but sadly it was flawed. The scripts were absolutely packed with good ideas, but the secret legacy of Captain America, historical racial prejudice, and racism in modern America, the plight of refugees, even the potential of debate the very nature of American self-identity, by contrast to Sam Wilson with John Walker. Now, fortunately, there are scenes in which there's simply too many ideas. From this result, few of them were well developed over the course of the series. The show felt like it had a lot to say, but never quite managed to say it. Despite of Sam's speeches and sermons in episode 6, were still sometimes the messages were muddled or muffled and even problematic, particularly centered more around John Walker. Captain America 4 is a movie, meaning it will have a much shorter runtime. That actually bodes well with Spellman, because it means a lot of ideas and themes will wind up cut in order and streamline a narrative. Spellman will need to carefully consider what themes are particularly important and what messages he wants viewers to pick up from. The shorter length should mean the narrative winds up being a lot tighter. Avoid over-signposting. The final issue Spellman needs to deal with is more subtle ones. He needs to avoid over-signposting. In narrative terms, a signpost is a hint that helps you perceive which direction the story is going to take. Now, with Falcon and Soldier suffered from serious over-signposting, and now it was possible to see twists coming from a mile away, especially if you're familiar with the original comics. Anyone who read that about John Walker knew he was going to fail at being Captain America, probably in spectacular fashion, of course, and instead would be dubbed U.S. Agent. The Sharon Carter power broker twist was so obvious most viewers had figured it already by the end of episode 3. All this unfortunately went to a season finale that, however enjoyable, also fairly was predictable. To be fair, though, Spellman part of the problem lay in the fact it was obvious how Falcon and Soldier fitted to the overarching narrative of the MCU. It's clearly going into a story of how Sam decided to accept the shield and be given the suit as the new Captain America. Now, the purpose of this story was so clear that viewers could go into it knowing that what to expect, well aware John Walker existed purely to contrast two different approaches to being superheroes, and confident where the lead character would end up in the final episode. So this issue was related to the nature of shows as much as to the writing. Spellman could approach Captain America 4 with lots more freedom. There are frankly countless directions Captain America 4 could take, especially given the fact that it also draws some plot threads with themes of born characters from other MCU and Disney Plus productions, and haven't come out yet. This time round, the story should have some truly shocking twist. It's great to hear that the story Sam Wilson's Captain America will not be relegated to Disney Plus, though, but will still continue on the big screen. What's more is that Malcolm Spellman has done a tremendous job fleshing out Sam's world and developing a potential lead character, so it's undoubtedly the right man to be working from the script. For all that is the case, though, he would do well to cast a critical eye to Falcon Winter Soldier, to ensure he was in both what he did right and what he did wrong. Now, Captain America franchise is one of the Marvel best, if not the best, and Captain America 4 has a lot to live up for. So there you go, guys. That is just all the information I wanted to spit out to you guys today from our friends Screen Rant. So if you guys like this content, please hit a thumbs up. And if you didn't, that's okay. But again, I talked about a lot of recent hot new information about the updates to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and also what could potentially happen as far as some of the other things with comic book universe. So if you guys want to leave some ideas down below on what type of new material you want me to talk about, please drop it down below in the comments, so that way I know what you guys want me to talk about for these article discussions, because basically my channel is mostly comprised of article discussions. Now if you don't like article discussions, then tough luck. I am doing article discussions. But again, sorry if I'm getting off topic, but again, like I said, if you guys have ideas that you want to leave down below my videos, that will help me decide, like, okay, this subscriber wants this, that subscriber wants that. So that way, like, I don't have to go out of my way to find my own ideas. I could have some of your guys' feedback instead of, like, having all these weird comments that I can't even understand. So you know what I'm saying? So that way, you and I are on a two-way page, and that way we can keep the channel successful and be talking about hot information about the comic book universe. Now, again, I really love how you guys have supported my channel, and I'm really hoping this channel will continue on to live to its name and beyond. And again, like I said, if you like this content, please hit a thumbs up. If you didn't, that's okay. I understand. Not all things are for everyone. But anyway, please subscribe, and have a nice day. Bye.